Hello, I'm Todd Weiss, Editor-at-Large for Channel Partners and Channel Futures. Welcome to our Business Transformation Station Live presentation. I'm going to let our panelists introduce themselves.
Hello there. I'm Allison Housley, and I work for IPPay. We're a payment processing company specializing in internet payments. I have been in the payment processing industry for about 10 years. Started in risk underwriting compliance. That's for merchants, the merchant underwriting risk and compliance, and worked my way up into regulatory and industry compliance. And am now a revenue engineer working to develop compliant risk-based products for merchants. That's I guess, my intro.
Oh, very good. My name is Evan McLean. I am with CCH SureTax, powered by Wolters Kluwer. We are a telecommunications tax calculation solution. Say that 5 times fast. So we are responsible for putting all the accurate federal, local, state taxes on invoices for customers. We work anywhere from the small mom and pop startups all the way to tier 1 carriers, anything in between. We help clients stay compliant as well with our reporting functions on the back end. They feed to different compliance partners. And I would ask you to please come and see us in the Business Transformation Station in booth 311 over there.
All right, well, thank you both for being here. So my first question for both of you, and we'll start with you, if that's okay, Allison.
Okay.
What is the biggest business ops challenge facing the partners you work with?
Oh, that's a good question. I think one of the biggest ops challenges with the partners I'm working with is understanding compliance.
Okay.
There's a lot of different compliance. The term is used loosely. You've got the industry compliance. You've got regulatory compliance. You've got, when I say regulatory, you've got federal, state, local, all these different things. And I think there is just a lot of misinformation that is floating out there, and people are struggling to find a partner that can give them good, easy to understand information in a way that they can take it and do something meaningful with it to protect their business, lower their costs, and work in the most compliant way, but not so it's intrusive and cumbersome and scary.
All right, Evan, do you have anything to add to that? Do you want me to repeat the question?
Repeat it one more time, please.
Okay. The question is, what is the biggest business ops challenge facing the partners you work with?
I would say that one of the biggest is, just taxation in general. Everybody's scared of it in the telecom industry. It's so complex. Every jurisdiction has their own tax rate for every single telecom product, and in most jurisdictions, it will change on a monthly basis. So if you don't have a proper tax calculation engine in place where we do all the research for you, it can be someone's in-house CPA or whatever, and it's just overwhelming, it's cumbersome, and if you mess it up, there's serious ramifications. You can go to jail, and it scares a lot of people. So,
all right, good answer. Allison, I'm going to ask you the next question. Traditionally, partners send invoices. Having customers pay by credit card is pretty new to some. What are the benefits? Do you see better cash flow, for example, and what about fees?
Sure. There's actually a lot of benefits to accepting credit cards. One, when you're paying with a credit card, you get to use the advantage, of course, of points. So when you're in the business world and you are traveling to conferences and you're sending employees to conferences and whatnot, why not earn points so that you can send your employees for free? There's also the advantage of speed. The ability to reconcile, the ability to get the money quicker, faster. So you do have the cash flow benefit. You also know when you get the authorization code that the funds are going to clear. When you are accepting payments in check, a lot of times you don't know. It's in the mail. You got to wait for it to clear. And if it's a large check, it could be a while before you realize that the services or the product that you sold aren't actually going to be paid for it or honored. This is a way to know right up front that your money is good and it's going through the system.
All right. And Evan, I have a question for you. Wolters Kluwer has a large portfolio, but the CCH SureTax tax calculation and reporting solution is popular with the channel. How has the new tax law affected your customers?
Are you referring to the Wayfarer? For telecom, it doesn't affect us that much.
Okay.
That's more over on the general sales side.
Okay.
So the telecom industry wasn't affected very much from my understanding, from what I've talked to with the clients. So,
Okay. All right, Allison, talk to us about how you secure payments, especially when the credit card is not present.
Sure. So one of the most important things when you're accepting payments online in particular is to encrypt the data. We've heard a lot of stories with breaches. I don't know if there's a lot of people here that were remembering or were watching the news when in 2013, 14, it was like the years of the breaches, right? We still have those. We have those regularly. They've just become so common that they don't make the main news. But one of the most important things you can do is have end-to-end encryption. You need to have a partner that is encrypting the data, that is tokenizing it, that is educating and helping you become PCI compliant. Keep in mind, PCI compliance is only the minimum standards. It's the minimum bar of what should be done to help protect your customers' data and to protect your company. I'm passionate on it because, you know, if you get breached, if the cardholder data is out there and it was collected because the company was negligent with it. I mean, there's so much reputation damage. There's fines, there's penalties. So the cost of actually, working with a partner that is already doing the work for you is nominal. It's especially with the way that we've got it structured because we focus so much on the telecom space. But that would be the.
I just thought of this. I thought it would be a good add-on question. Do you deal with GDPR as well? Is that something that also affects you? The European new protections and security and privacy?
It is depending if you have customers that are paying with a card in that place. So we don't have to deal with it too much with U.S.-based businesses. But if you have a U.S.-based business accepting payments from someone, yes, that is something that would be coming into place as well.
All right. Now, Evan, I have another question for you.
sure.
You also help with compliance. So what insights do you have into regulatory gotchas around billing that the audience should watch out for?
That's a good question. The best advice I would say is to start early. We see a lot of companies who have not been doing compliance or been doing it in-house or been doing it incorrectly. And to play catch-up is a lot more expensive than to do it correctly to begin with.
Why is that? Why does that happen?
Some companies are scared to do it. It's too costly. They say, we can handle it in-house. Our tax guy he can handle this. When you get into the telecom industry, it's a whole other animal. So someone more used to the sales tax side, once they get into the telecom side, it's just a whole other beast, and it can get out of hand very quickly. Especially as clients grow, their tax exposure gets greater, and the liabilities just pile up, and then 3 years down the road, you have a couple $1 million of tax exposure, and you got to do a VDA and go back and tell the USAC I'm sorry and beg for forgiveness, and then work out a payment plan that's 3 times more expensive than if you would have done it correctly.
Did you want to add something to that, Allison?
I was just going to say, I think the key is finding the right partners to start with in the beginning, because
Exactly.
if you're doing it right from the beginning, it's extremely cost effective. You don't have to pay to have someone audit and go back and see what happened, dealing with the fines, the penalties. Because most of the time, when you don't do it right in the beginning, you look at making the switch once you've been fined. Someone's called you. Something's happened to make you look at, I need a switch. I've got a problem.
Right.
I think waiting till that moment is what pains us, because we know how easy it is to prevent compliance problems with the right partners from the get-go. It's easy, simple, right advice, right. You can't overvalue it.
Exactly. Can I add one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
And also, another big advantage of working with the compliance partners is they can help you navigate tax laws in the states that can actually end up paying for the services themselves. It can lower their tax liability. invaluable.
I would say the same in the payment processing space. You know, I don't think a lot of people realize that the payment processing space is risk-based. Every bit of pricing, it's risk-based. So, you know, the better advice that you're getting, you're going to have lower fees. You know, a lot of people look at it like it's tomatoes, like it's a commodity. It's actually not.
What about do you have any tips on choosing a provider to work with? Because you both mentioned that whole topic of choosing the right provider. So is there something you can add to choosing the right provider?
I think it comes down to interviewing questions. You know, are they familiar with what you do, your space, your industry? How can they help you? What partners, what people do they know in the space that can help with your needs? I think that's what's unique about our booth setup over in 311 is that we've got how many businesses? Six, eight.
Yep.
And we all integrate, we all help one another. And so that it's literally a one-stop shop where somebody can come in to the industry, start up, and have the right advice that's all integrated in the same software system right from the get-go. And I think that you need to be working with people that are familiar with this space, with the regulatory risk that's attached to it. Good advisors.
Yes. We, at SureTax, we work with a number of compliance partners in the country. So whenever we're speaking with prospects or clients, we just give them a list of the partners, and we ask them to reach out to all of them and just have a conversation, because obviously some companies are better fits with other people. So we just hand them the list and say, you're in good hands with anybody on this list.
All right, I have one last question. What didn't I ask you that you wanted to share? Is there anything in particular?
Not really, just start early, do your taxes correctly from the get-go, and you're going to save yourself a world of hurt later down the road.
I think that not going into the risk and compliance piece, but just on a payment processing piece, there's a lot of people that view payment processing as a commodity, that everyone is the same. And that really truly couldn't be further from the truth. I think that you need to have somebody that understands your space, understands what you're doing, can be truly a partner. And that there's opportunities to also make money and open up a new business channel for yourself as a reseller in this space. You know, if you're working with different people, you could turn it into a whole new channel, could be a whole new revenue stream. And it could, if you're accepting payments, reduce your bill to where you're actually making income from it. So, I mean, there's lots of opportunities in the space that exist out there that I don't think a lot of people realize.
Well, thank you both for being here and for sharing your thoughts about all of this with our listeners. We appreciate it, and have a good rest of the conference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.